Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, fans at home and those watching around the world, it's time! Fighting out of the black corner, we have the lovely damsels of the north, the Finnish national team, looking to finish off this tournament with the same swagger we've seen them impose time and time again. Some of them have medals, some of them still hungry for their first taste of gold on the Amsterdam fields. Going up against in the white corner, weighing a combined, it was considered rude to ask, the German national team, moving from strength to strength as they look to improve their chances of taking home the big one later this year at the European Ultimate Championships. I am Lorca Murray, and I'm joined by the indispensable Aussie, Hilary Hooms. How you feeling?
Oh, look, and I am so excited for this game. We know that this is going to be EPIC epic.
So big, you have to spell it. As we see the Germans and the Finnish meeting for the second time in this tournament. And how did it go down the first time, Hilary?
Well, look, and it was a really interesting run for both teams, having a very solid entry into this tournament, beating lots of teams. But when they matched up earlier in the Swiss draw, Finland came up 13-11. So both teams are familiar with each other in this tournament, and they've both got some similar tactics. What do you think Finland would be doing?
Well, if I'm honest, it's a little windy. Wind blowing towards us, so across the pitch, ever so slightly coming from the right to the left, as you can probably notice from some of the flags in the backgrounds of our shot. And that to me says one thing and one thing only from the Finnish: Huck and or D. We know they love to send it deep. We know they trust their incredibly athletic receivers, and they back themselves on the defensive end. They're looking to test this German side's resolve. I think they might be able to crack it.
Well, look, and one thing's for sure, both teams have come out here ready to take this game as their own. This isn't just any tournament. This is the 15th anniversary of Windmill. This is the year to take it, if any. And for the German side, this is just one tournament in a round of a 2-year program that they're on. Not just EUC in a few weeks' time, they're also going to the US Open in August, and they're looking to set up for Worlds next year as well. So this team has committed for the long stint. They're a huge roster of 35 players. Chatting to their coaches, Marco and Max, earlier on, I found out some tactics that they employed throughout this tournament. Namely, they would bench entire players for the entirety of the game, give them a whole rest, and gear them up for the next game. So basically there was sort of splitting the teams. You're playing game A, you're playing game B, but mixing it about.
That is the Germanic approach, always with a bit of a long view to their national seasons, trying to use the national team as a tool to develop the domestic game, which you have to respect. Though I have seen that tactic of benching whole players because you've got such a large squad employed in the past, and I always feel like it can just leave players out. Suddenly you're removed, you're on the sideline for a whole game. Whole lines could be out there, especially when you've got a squad the size of the Germans. It can be detrimental to you in the immediacy, despite being beneficial in the long term. However, Finland are going to be coming out here strong, dedicated, short lines. There's only 17 of them, and I think that's stood to them so far in this tournament, although we'll see how well they can stand as fatigue starts to take its toll. The lines clearing. Drawn across this battlefield here in a beautiful Dutch afternoon. Windmill 2019, the women's final about to kick off. Germany will be receiving with the wind blowing into their face. Not quite a howl, but certainly more than a whimper. And Hilary, who do you fancy? Can Germany go upwind and get the initial score? Or do you think Finland will be able to open it up with a break and get the benefit of winning the flip?
I have no doubt that is what Finland are probably aiming to do, but I'm not going to make any early bets.
You're going to have to be drawn into some at some point, I imagine, because I love speculation. As here we see the Germans looking to be certain in their action, in their movements, and they are initially. Lovely down the line pass, comfortably taken into the hands of Forsch. She's almost at the halfway already, and the Germans eating up ground as the Finns try to find a way to clamp down on them. Gerner, near sideline. Awful lot of pressure from the elements and from the opponents. Bruns looks to go up the line, nobody available. Finns clamping down all the time, but it's that second dump cut option that keeps becoming available. Excellent stuff. Brilliant play from Mashinova, sending it through to Hosokawa for the opening score.
Fantastic clinical play from the German side, just using that narrow channel down that field, not needing to open it up and send it. They may have been worried about the wind as it is blowing across the field towards us. A clinical offensive play from the Germans and quite a ferocious defensive outfit from the Finnish side.
Down the line the whole way down the pitch, working that open side, trusting their cutters to get free, and then what I consistently saw was the initial dump cut up the line cut off, but it was the relief handler, the third player, coming back in a big sweeping motion as if to go for the around, turning sharply and going up the line. Excellent stuff from an experienced German side. So relying on some of the big names. Hosokawa, renowned around Europe, and after her stint at the World Club Championships, I dare say there's a few other people well acquainted with her around the world. As now Finland look to respond, coming right back at them. And who else but Inkinen with the disc in the middle of the pitch. Customary break to Leno. She's going to be a big receiver for them. Into this wind, you think Finland will not be able to go deep, so they will have to rely on those unders. Vesman, Inkinen. And she can throw just about anything. There's the deep shot, making me eat my words and letting her receiver eat it up. Maya Leno with the score.
Leno with a beautiful catch and an incredible play. As you said it, Lorcan, that disc went up in the air and broke down anything that you had ever opposed to what they were thinking.
Just going to show you that I don't really know what I'm talking about. I just say a lot of things as quickly as possible so that you can't notice a mistake with enough time to actually call me on it. We've already moved on to the next thing. So let's keep it moving. 2 scores, both of them rather comfortable, no turns, each side looking ready for it. Inkinen, a leader in every sense. As we see there, the Finns celebrating, the Germans keeping their heads up. I'm enjoying quite a lot over the course of the weekend all the different ways that teams have the heads up emoji as a part of their culture. Raising above your hands, clicking your fingers, raising above your hands, doing the little Samoan pinky and thumb wiggle. And that one, the Germans, of course, with the eagle as their symbol, clapping and then flying. Sending out a different O-line this time around. Again, speaking to the squad length and depth. Nicely stamped down, and the Germans look to respond in kind. Gerner pops it. See the Finns going with match defense, and there's the quick mistake with the wind, and that's what the Finnish were looking for, trying to play tight. Mashinova, who got the assist the last time, just not quite enough spin on that dump pass. So now Finland, Jokinen, a young player who's had a breakout tournament, looking to add to her stat sheet. A lovely throw, bit of a hand block, excellent defensive effort. That's Pole slapping that one to the ground.
Germany getting a bit of a lucky turn there. Earlier on in this point, they were set up a little too deep in their stack, and that was normally, if it was a dry, sort of a relatively nice climate day, you'd be fine. With this wind, you need to be in a little bit closer to get those passes off, just to make sure that they're absolutely safe.
So Brinker, she gets it from Troutman, gives it back to her. Troutman has a deep shot, doesn't take it on. You've got to believe that's because the wind picked up right as she got the disc. So instead, Kerner, she's not afraid of taking the deep shot. Pole underneath it, collects it despite the defensive pressure, looking to keep going for the continuation. And Germany score one more time. Mashinova making up that earlier throwaway.
The energy on this German side, a brilliant put into the end zone. There's no fear from either side with those shots. Straight into the wind.
The timing seems to be huge. Both times the disc did flow a little bit, but the respective receivers were able to patiently wait and then attack it at the highest. There we see Mashinova just throwing that a little bit outside of the reach of her handler. You know Gerner's going to work hard for you, but that one's just a bit beyond even her. Jokinen, player to keep your eye on as this game progresses. Sariola then Commits a similar enough mistake to Mashinova. Again, Gerner gets it, launches it, and you can see Sariola gaining all the time, trying to put some pressure on there, but not able to get close enough. Poel picks it up and then throws it for the assist. Comfortable stuff from the Germans. So now Finland looking to go right back at them. Ricola centers to Inkinen. And the Germans coming out in a zone, trying to gum up the Finnish offense, not let them go to those deep shots like they like to. Instead making them swing it around, spread it through their ranks. That's something the Finns have been working on. They're very comfortable with any of these 7 women having the disc in their hands. Ricola back to Inkinen. And it's a slow, methodical march down the pitch. Westman into the middle. And Ricola again on the near side. Inkinen. And we know she loves an old flick break. As now she tries to take off. The Germans transitioning to match. And Inkinen, this is a power position for her. Westman, she's working tirelessly downfield in the small amount of space the Germans afford her. Inkinen looking to swing it around on the break and does so. Leno already has a score. Maybe thinking about getting a second stat. That's Ratinen back to Inkinen. And Westman once more in that open side when they need someone to attack the space. Inkinen with a beautiful stop and an easy pop. Great score, Runinen getting the stat.
Inkinen so quick to turn around and get that disc into the end zone. They're mighty, they're fast, and they're agile on the field. They're a tough outfit to defend. But the Germans did well to slow them down ever so slightly with the zone. And a nice transition to match defense.
You want to talk about a tough outfit to defend? What about these trousers? But much more difficult to defend are the Finnish women. And you could see the composure. Germany said, all right, we're going to come down the zone. We're not going to give you that deep shot straight away. We're going to make you throw 50 passes. Do you think you can do it? Finland just responded by saying, yes. Yes, we absolutely think we can do that. Wonderful little bit of play. Lots of open side work being done downfield, and then nice little breaks and pops from the handlers. They really took advantage of the transition as well. As soon as that happened, Inkinen went up the line and they were aggressively attacking the Germans, not letting them set in and find themselves.
That's a really big point about the Finnish style, is they're quite aggressive with all of their movements. Every decision they make, they do it with absolute guts behind it.
So Bruns centers the disc. Gerner at the forefront of a lot of good stuff for this German team. I like that. Dump cut, classic L, as they look to pick up the W. Bruns gets it down the line. Hosokawa. And we know she can throw just about anything she wants. But now the Finnish defense making good use of a bit of confused cutting by the Germans. Eventually they're able to get it free under a lot of pressure. Mashinova. Hosokawa makes the move, collects the disc again, and sends it to the end zone. Wind was trying to push it down, but Gerner's able to get there first.
Hosokawa getting every second touch almost on that play. She's such a pivotal player in this team. But with a roster of 35, every single person on that team has the depth and the skills to be there. And we just saw that with an excellent take, low to the ground, a disc that almost could have been turfed. Watch this replay as it gets back to Hosokawa. She just drops it low. Gets the body on the line to keep that disc alive.
Squeezing it around Sariola, who's come awfully close to getting 2 Ds now for the Finnish side. I'd say keep your eyes on that space. So 3-2 to the Germans. No breaks yet, although we have seen a turn, but just the one. The Germans were able to earn it back. So I suppose 2 turns. All scores upwind, and almost all of them revolving around attacking the open space on this near sideline, which makes it easy for us here in the commentary booth. But it does make it easy for the defense to react. We'll see who can make the better adjustments as that disc just lands out of bounds. Ricola was going towards it, but she's going to let Inkinen pick it up at the brick mark. Ratinen and Westman sending them what would traditionally be the open side. Germany coming back out with that zone. Finland didn't really have too much trouble tearing through it. Do you think the Germans have adjusted at all?
I think it's worth putting it out one more time just to see if they can tighten up, clamp down on those spaces that the Finnish always seem to find.
I'd like to see a bit more pressure put on the handlers. If you're giving the Finns an open dump every time, I don't think you're going to be able to get turns from them. That time they go to the near sideline. 3 Germans around, clamping down at the perfect time. That's a great defensive adjustment by them. They knew what Inkinen wanted to do, and they were ready for it. Aschenbacher tries to get the inside break. Brilliant defensive effort by Ruunanen, earning it back. So now Inkinen picks up the disc, sideline. Goes for a big play. That is a risky pass, and it was always going to be difficult to be caught. Ricola can only watch it go past her. And the Germans coming back. Aschenbrenner wants a shot to the end zone. Hasn't looked dump yet. Eventually gets the form of Rumpelt free in the front corner. Well, now she's in a little bit of trouble. Kusik tries to get free for her and can't, and instead Rumpelt forced to throw it into the waiting arms of the defense. It's going to be a call on that. Perhaps for a bit of contact. Leno was the one who came up with the interception, and it seems like it's fine now. Immediately giving it to Inkinen. Although there seems to be a bit of a call, perhaps a violation. The Germans reluctant to let the Finns get out of here. I believe that's an uncontested stall out, certainly from the hand signals being made by Kusik. So back in the hands of Leno, and everybody resumes their initial positions. Difficult situation. They'll be looking to get out of Leno's hands quickly. And Inkinen provides the relief. She still has that free dump. Stick going to the near sideline. Nice little pop and play by the Finns. Ricola looking for options, eventually gets it back to Inkinen. Germans doing a good job of shutting down the swing. It's what the Finns used to really tear through the zone the last time. Ricola playing well with Ruunanen. They're just working that little triangle offense against the cup. Getting it back to Inkinen, who's acting as the safety valve as they trust her to be able to get those throws off. That is magnificent stuff by the Finns. Leno linking up with Westman. Now it's back to Inkinen. There's Ratinen in front of her. Goes with the patented flick break down to her. And again, the Finns just taking their time, having to work harder to get the swing off this time. And there's another big put. But plenty of Germans underneath it, none of them able to read it in time. So a bit unfortunate as Noppinen comes down with it. Just about getting away with that one. And Inkinen looking for options, goes with the break side down to Ruunanen. Plenty of float and stolen away by Kusik brilliantly. And now Germany with the chance to go in the opposite direction. The wind really at their backs. Gets it back into Kusik. And keeping the play going, swinging all the way across the pitch. Wagener gets it inside. That was a risky pass. Bodies flying everywhere. You can see how much they want it. And Sachs just throws it behind the intended receiver, Aschenbrenner. Finland wasting no time trying to get it going again. Werner on the opposite sideline. Vestmans on the opposite sideline. Ruunanen. And the Finns trying to pull that zone back a little bit as the Germans have melted into a match defense after the turn. Westman. Ricola. Has Inkinen in front of her, hits her. Waiting for options. One eventually becomes available. She doesn't love it. She does love that inside flick break. And everybody knows it. Noppinen, one of them, makes the move. You have Ratinen completely unmarked on the far sideline. Never really able to take advantage of it. Ricola waiting for options. Eventually Leno makes herself available. They are really having to work hard. Nothing coming easy. Rantanen, as a pick is called in the stack. And the Finns playing a bit of an impromptu 1-6 here, Hillary. doing a good job of giving their cutters space, but the Germans limiting how much is left by the time the disc actually arrives in their hands. Inkinen marked tight, and great defensive effort by Sack coming through and getting the block. So this has been a lengthy point. Kusik picks it up. She had Sack isolated in the end zone, decides against it. Goes the pass to Aschenbrenner. Down the line, and that's beautiful stuff, but great defensive pressure from Rantanen. Doesn't get a touch on the disc, but maybe, just maybe gets inside the head of the German player as it bounces out of her hands.
This is probably the worst position on the field to be stuck in with the wind, the way that it's going. So if the German defense can keep it down there, it'll be advantageous for them.
Rantanen in her own end zone, just about able to get it off. Westman so frequently with the relieving cut right when they need it, and I like that call from Rekola. It's been a long point, Hillary.
This is the first point in this game that you can really feel it's a finals of two equally matched teams, both eager to get a point on the board. You can feel the jitters in them. They're rushing and they're making choices that are just causing unforced errors or incredible, options of run-through blocks. Both teams have a few things that they could tighten up with. The Finnish side doing an incredible job to just stay composed.
So look at a few of the turnovers that we've had so far. This was an absolutely brilliant block. Kusik just coming in and taking it away. This we thought was the score. Excellent defensive pressure. Katarina Rantanen. So while we wait for this game to be resumed, could you tell us a little bit about the experience Finland have had so far in this tournament and how it may be influencing them in the final?
Well, Finland had an interesting start to this tournament, going down at very pick-up team, Mermaid Lumberjacks, who did incredibly well. A team full of star players and really experienced players. But since then, they've come up gold with every single one of their other games. In their quarterfinals, they beat Ireland 11-9 quite convincingly. And in the semi-finals, the Cosmic Girls, Russia, were worn down by the Finnish side.
You could say they finished them off as they look to finish off this point in a positive fashion, searching to tie this game and, remember, maintain their offensive hold as they started the game on defense with the wind at their backs. Haven't been able to capitalize yet. Good quick movement by the Finns, working well against the zone that Germany have gone back to. Westman gets it to Inkinen. She wants to move it quickly. She doesn't like that disc sitting and stagnating. Ruunanen to Westman. Hazarelko in the middle, goes back to Ruunanen on the far sideline. And Ruunanen tries to get through to Velko, but excellent defensive step in by Müller. And there's the pop. You make him throw 50 passes in the hopes that one of them goes errant. And this German defense really growing into the game. Now right outside the end zone, hoping for somebody to make a move. Aschenbrenner tries to get free and does, but the throw just a bit too zippy.
There was a tentative pick about to be called and quickly retracted as that disc wasn't caught. That German zone, though, is really working wonders for them. And it's just incredible how they're actually adjusting to the way that the Finnish handlers are moving. They're really acting as a team. You can tell that they've been training together for quite a long time.
Rantanen almost bobbles that one, but able to control it in the end. And those adjustments really are a testament to how Germany are so good at learning over the course of the game. Initially, the Finns were doing a fantastic job of swinging, hitting someone in the open side, and pulling it apart. And you can just see the movement. Wagner down there on the wing, doing a great job of shutting down that option, making them swing it back and forth, and then they've just tightened up. But now, the Finns starting to move through it with a bit of pace. Rantanen gives it back to Leno, back to Rantanen. And this is the way they were playing earlier on. Westman, she sees a shot deep, takes it eventually. There was a lot of space, but it could have been a trap. And a great defensive swarming Sack, eventually the one to get the final touch. And that throw asked an awful lot of Leno. One of the better receivers on this Finnish team. But That one a bit too much even for her. The wind dying down a little bit now as Kusik takes her time walking to the front corner, looking for options. Rakola is just poaching deep, making sure the Germans can't huck their way out of this situation. You like to see Rumpel try to take advantage of it. Instead, there's a turn. That one just a bit too tough for Ashenverna. So Inkinen tries to get things going again. She has Rakola. Gets her in the middle. The Finns trying to strike while the Germans are still finding their way, and this is a bit of a wayward point for both sides. We'd seen 1 turnover apiece before it. We've seen, I believe, 6 apiece in this point alone. A lot of uncharacteristic drops. We've already had the timeout. Ashenverna thinks about the deep shot, thinks about it for a bit too long. And whenever you see a handler holster it and decide on the second try to go for it, it never really works out that well.
Well, perhaps if she'd held on for it a little bit longer, her player would have had time to get down there. As you said, though, this is an uncharacteristic point for both sides. Silly errors, easy drops.
Turnovers do tend to come in bunches. Leno coming down, gets divestment. Has options in front of her. Can't take any of them. Relko back to Inkinen. And Relko again. And this is the way they were playing through it the last time. Germans doing a good job to not let them go too far with it. Ratanen gives it back into the middle. Inkinen. She has Rakola. It's the harder throw. The Germans seem to be trying to trap on either sideline, making that kind of a dump the much easier throw. Runinen. Beautiful inside divestment, just standing in the right place. Leno now. This is better from the Finns, working their way down the pitch. Runinen gets it down to Leno again. And Leno divestment. Oh, but that one a bit too far ahead. A slight trick, but it felt like the disc was always going away from her. So the Germans try and take their time. The wind has come back up. You would have to say there was some merit to the idea of just launching this one to a receiver you trust. The Finns wise to it. When you play a lot of hucking in your offense, you're generally quite good at defending it. So Germany resorting back to the unders. Wagner. Wagner with a lovely swing all the way across to Müller. Müller back in. Kusik has an option, doesn't take it the first time. Great forcing, and then that one just a little bit too far for Wagner to bring in. Really good defensive effort there by Nappanen, I believe, shutting down that break throw. As Inkinen just pops that over the top. She can just throw basically whatever she wants. As Runinen looking for options. Eventually takes the one to Ratanen. And there Germany trying to come through and get the D. Müller was a bit too late. Nopanen somehow corrals that one. As Runinen in the middle, instead goes back to Relko. Now Runinen. Inkinen. Good swing investment, tries to cut into the middle. Just standing there, taking advantage. This is better from the Finns. Oh, Leno bobbles it but catches it. And this is how they were playing against the zone earlier. Swing, swing, and then attacking down the sideline. Then swinging over to the opposite one before the zone can get there, attacking down again. The Germans have gone to match. So the Finns tried to launch one immediately. But that was drifting away from Rekola the whole time. And the German coaches, I believe Marco Müller, they're calling for a timeout. So you have another look. Trying to find Ashenverna in the end zone.
We just have Gerner coming in, replacing the German Sack.
Gerner, one of the strongest throwers on this German team. So nice to have that relief out there. Although you're sorry to see Sack have to come off. Big defender, already has a block to her name from this point. Although we're getting to the stage where most of the players on the pitch have at least one block to their name on this point. As I believe that's the 7th turnover for the Finns. Germany still looking for that break. Looking to press their advantage. Their offense has been nearly immaculate going into the wind. Not quite the same in the opposite direction. And again, they open things up with a deep look. And again, great poach defense by the Finns. A lot of the time it is Runanen peeling off from her woman to help out. Germans love sending it to Sack, but that time Sack wasn't quite free. And Inkinen, the Germans again setting up that zone. Relko back into the middle. So we see Jokinen come in for the Finns. Bit of young blood to try and galvanize them. That's a nice shot through to Westman. And they keep it moving. This is much better stuff. Jokinen. Westman. They can do this for a while, but so far in this point it comes unstuck at some place on the pitch around here. Big grab by Relko, reaching forward over Muller's shoulder to take it away.
This is the furthest down the field the Finnish have gotten this point, though. This could be what makes a difference.
Inkinen, beautiful divestment. She has Rantanen in front of her, and they're popping it and moving. Runanen in front of the end zone. Now it's in the hands of Rantanen. Goes for the pop to Runanen on the return. 1-2 to make it 3-all.
And they finally close out that epic point. I said it at the beginning, this was going to be an epic game. I had to spell it out for you, Lorcan, because I wasn't sure you knew exactly what I meant. Right there, we saw what was probably going to be the longest point of this match. I hope at least the next few points are a little bit cleaner. Both teams probably swapping out their lines. Germany with an advantageous 35 deep roster. And as you said, the Finnish side only have 17.
So Rantanen there, throwing it to Runanen. Great play by Runanen, taking it on herself. I did like the adjustment of the Finns bringing in Jokinen when they had the chance. The young woman doing very well. For a moment, I do thank you for bringing some clarity to me about how epic this game had the potential to be, although it has never been more apparent than right now. That was a real grinding point. Up to this point, it had been smooth, clean offense for the most part. And that one, the Germans unable to get the break. Now is when the Finns are looking to strike. You wonder how much that 17-person roster will come into effect compared to the Germans' much more sizable 35. Well, Germany are carrying a couple of significant injuries. Narjes isn't playing. Neither is Tisson or Jakobsen, as the Germans, with Trautmann, looking to go right back at the Finns. Be very demoralizing if they could just pop this one in easily. That's what they're looking to do. Gerner, back where she belongs on that O-line, leading them from the front. Forsch gets it down the line. Kappelmann, been a leader in almost every age group for the German women's side. Mashinova, down the line. Well taken in. Pole now right in front of the end zone, and the Germans got here much quicker and much easier than the Finns did. Gerner makes a move and tries to get her point despite the incoming defensive pressure.
What a play from Gerner. Remains composed, has that disease floating up into the space. It's bobbling. She can feel the Finnish defenders front and back of her, and steals it from there.
So
Steals it from the air.
Staying composed, puts that throw to Kerner. Lots of float, like you're saying, short back and sides. And that woman still comes up with the disc. Close cut thing. So Germany responding emphatically. 4-3, no turns, didn't even look close to one until that final throw. And even then, if it's Kerner underneath it, just going to come down with it, most likely.
And that's the way you need to respond after a huge point like that. Finland would have been riding on a high, that momentum that they just taken a point of a very big, long moment.
The Germans taking almost a fifth of the time to respond. I believe that point at 3-2 was about 10 minutes long. Germany responding much, much quicker. And now that D-line, which has proven they can turn the Finns, proven that their zone is effective against the experienced handling and movement of this Finnish side. However, they haven't been able to deliver the goods. They need to get better on the offensive side. As that that disc makes its way all the way down, hits the sideline. Phenomenal pull. Runanen was reluctant to pick it up, although maybe it did hit the side as Inkinen's pointing out and is going for the brick. You might be able to hear the spirited support from the Germans on the sideline, backing their ladies. I believe that's the open team or the mixed. Mixed actually having a fairly good tournament for themselves. Battling in the third, fourth earlier on as Inkinen gets that disc, plays it to the far sideline. Gets it back, but they're waiting for the defensive presence of Schmanz. And the Germans, will they take another 7 shots or will they need just one? Swinging it around, Brochmann. All the way across. And there's Schulz. Trying to ghost her defender. Swayze can't get free. And instead, Brochmann plays it to the front corner. Schmanz, she got the D, wants the assist. Gets the pop and it's collected. Brilliant stuff from Germany. And that's the first break of the game.
A huge moment for the German side. What an incredible block. Just slapping that disc to the ground. Momentum. We just see that cheer from the Germans.
5-3, Germany getting the first break, starting on offense. So it is a critical one. This will give the Finns a chance to go downfield with the wind at their backs, which I'm pretty sure means one thing and one thing only.
Huck City!
Hucks, everybody! No, I certainly hope so, because I would like to see them open up a bit more. They took a couple of more like half-pitch leading passes going into the wind. The first one very successful, since then not so much. But I think a big successful Huck is exactly what Finland would need to kind of rise them up, get them back in the mood for this game.
And I don't think Finland are worried about the position that they're in at the moment. Having looked at the way that they played throughout this tournament, they're a strong, ferocious side. They're very confident in their skill set. They recognize that they're, a shorter roster than the German side, but that's not going to affect them. Yes, that might help the Germans with a little bit more energy and speed behind their legs, but if they can play to a strategy that works for them, those Hucks using their throws, we'll just see what happens out here.
And they have got a bit of a benefit of a short pull. I think the difference is stamina versus focus. It's easier to be fitter on a bigger team, come in fresher, but you do not have the level of focus as the people who are out there just grinding, and if their adrenaline can see them through the rest of this game, I've always leaned more towards that edge as Inkinen. You can see her gesturing, huge block! Phenomenal stuff by the lengthy form of Spanuth, getting up and getting in the way of that one. So now the Germans hoping to build their lead, press their advantage. Nice downfield cutting by Jasper. Can't get it to Spanuth. Forced instead to wait. Eventually, Brochmann becomes available. And Gross Brochmann sends that one deep. Lots of players underneath it. And somehow it winds up in the hands of Schulz. Katharina Schulz with a little bit of dirty dancing on that play, though. There's going to be a prick called heartbreak for Swayze. I'm sure we're not the only ones currently lamenting that, as Christian Gaffney at home, head of Yogo Bonito, probably going a little bit yogo right now.
I know he's probably screaming at the screen right now with a little bit of intensity. That was an incredible save. Keep that disc up. Thus, not going to count.
Gross Brochmann has to do it again, and getting a little bit bailed out there. I think it was Relko who came over and got the touch, or Ricola, sorry, who came over and got the touch. Not the best choice. That one, much easier to pull off. Jasper just sends it down the line, and there's the easy response. And that is the caliber of professionalism this German side is bringing to the European Championships this year. Another break.
And again, not needing to spread across the field, just using that one channel, just jamming it in the jam hole, with Finnish players closing in on those gaps. They're not afraid to hit the bullseye shot. They need pinpoint accuracy, and they've got it.
Excellent stuff from the Germans. And what a response. They go for the deep shot, doesn't quite work out, but they do get the score. And a lot of the times you can see the deflation on that pit call, causing the disc to go back. The Germans say, you know what? No, how about we just grind out the unders instead? 4 passes in a row. Wonderfully done. And that D-line offense looking much better now. So 6-3. I really thought the Finnish would be able to respond with the wind at their backs. They were not. The Germans seem to be getting better with every point since the lengthy one. The Finns worse.
Sometimes it is a domino effect, isn't it, on a team when you're down a few points and you've made a few critical errors, particularly with the leaders in the team. As we know, Inkinen is a very powerful player on that field. And some of her shots just didn't come off quite as she had hoped, and they got blocked. Perhaps that's playing into everyone's key roles on the field and the way that they're composing themselves.
You see Inkinen marshalling her troops. The Germans pulling together. Their 2 coaches, Marco Müller, Max Liesselberger. Pretty sure I was close to the second time. I was working on that one.
I just know it has burger in it. Something burger.
Well, as this day goes on, we'll be hoping to get some burgers into us as well. If you have never been to Windmill before, you do not want to miss this opportunity. You should definitely come next year. It's absolutely fantastic. Finals day here in the stadium. All the other games have rounded off and rounded up. So now the fans just gathering, enjoying the Amsterdam sunshine, as even the gods agree. There's nowhere else you should be on this beautiful Sunday afternoon. Kusik with disc in hand. She's had some fantastic plays so far in this game. Reliable on both ends, big receiving ability, but primarily a handler for this German team. The Finns. We will see if their blood and their nerves run as cold as their glacial rivers back home, as they need to stay calm against this impressive German force. Inkinen has Vassman. Goes to the far sideline, gets it back. And that little dish and go is how they like to play through this cup. Swing, swing, dish and go. Rantanen swings it all the way around to Inkinen. And when they're going like this, it seems like the zone is a foregone failure. But they do a great transition D by the Germans, switching to match. Vestman gets it down the line just about. Sariola, very impressive in the early exchanges, especially on the defensive end. Inkinen makes her move to the end zone. Sariola tries to get there, but slamming the door in her face. Mariika sack.
Massive block, and what a momentous occasion for the German side, right in that pocket of the end zone.
Maybe the Finnish getting a bit of end zone eyes, thinking finally a chance to get back on this board. And there's only one woman they're going to send deep straight away. Oh, almost taking it up off the ground every single time possession starts on the D-line. Mona Sack tirelessly burning deep, generally with 2 Finnish defenders near. And that one bouncing out of the hands of Inkinen, and it's Germany with the huck and D, not the Finns, like we called. Bit of a travel there. Immediately conceded by Wagner. Kusik. Flick break, no, going with the dump. Nice little defensive move. Aschenwerner takes the easy pop and the simple score to Mariika Saik. That's a bit of double happiness.
Clinical, just how they had practiced in their training sessions. A phenomenal point there from the German side. That defense was exceptional. Not only was that zone shutting down so many options, Inkinen could barely get any, big passes. There were no hucks available. But then that transition to match defense made it even harder when Weissman had the disc near the end zone line. It was a high stall count. She had to get it off.
You can see Aschenwerner staying calm and collected and hitting Sack completely open on the open side. Brilliant stuff by the Germans. 7-3. They lost 13-11, remember, when they met in pool play. And the Finns talking about it afterwards, they said the Germans know how we like to play. They did a good job of shutting down our deep options. We just turned around, worked our unders as we were getting them. They had to respect us deep. And maybe it's a bit of the wind, so the Germans don't have to respect them deep as much. Maybe it's simply What I think it is, and I'm sure you'd agree with me, Hilary, the adjustments the Germans are able to make in between each game. They know how the Finns want to play. That's been a big focus of this zone. The Finns seen this zone before, played through it, beat it, we should add, at 13-11. But that transition into the match defense that the Germans are doing so effectively seems to be really giving the Finnish trouble. So here they come. Jokinen. Flanked by Koskenovo. Jokinen with a bit of a risky pass, but it works out. Keki pops it down the line, the waiting hands of Sariola. Koskenovo across to Jokinen. And the Finns looking a bit more comfortable, a bit more confident. Slicing through the Germans. Koskenovo trying to get free but can't. Instead they're forced to go with a big floaty swing. Brilliantly done. Eagerly hunted down and taken in by Keki, who goes with the flick break, but that was always going to be difficult. Small space and too quick a disc. Saruka can only watch it go by.
A tricky shot to catch, as that was a bullet of a throw, but a beautiful one at best. That German defense, though, is just stopping everything. High stall counts. The Finnish side have to do something slightly different. But as you said earlier, the Germans are doing such a good job of adapting in the moment and learning from every single piece of information they get.
Pressing to Gross Brockman. Brockman looking for a dump. The Finns doing a good job of turning it down. So instead goes down the line to Schmanz, gets a nice quick dump off. And the Germans really starting to feel themselves. Huge gains constantly, brilliant stuff all the way out to Schmanz. Front of the end zone, they have worked their way up this pitch with lightning speed and getting another score to take the half. 8-3 after it was tied 3-all. Phenomenal stuff from the Germans.
Incredible play. The Germans have no lack of energy whatsoever. They are speedy and that quick change from offense to defense. They're back with the disc in hand. They can move it so quickly. The Finnish side have no opportunity to slow them down.
So that is half at 8-3. There'll be a few festivities, as there always is at halftime here at Windmill. So it'll be a slightly longer break than we'll be providing so far on the streams. 8-3, the Germans in the driver's seat. We will see what the Finns can do to dislodge them in the second half. Coming up in 5 minutes. Welcome back to the second half of the final game of Windmill 2019 Women's Division. Right now, the Germans in a powerful position, 8-3 up, cracking up a 5-point run to take the first half against a team that had already beaten them earlier in the tournament by 2, the fabulous Finns. There's one thing the Finnish are proud of, it is their resolve, their refusal to give in, be it to the Russians, be it to winter, or a lack of daylight. So I'm sure they have no problems finding the mental toughness to fight their way back into this match. They started on offense. Rantanen with the disc, puts a blady one back in. It's taken comfortably by Rakola, gets it to Inkinen. Rakola makes a move for her, nice and easy. Westman consistently finding herself in the right place. Inkinen coming under, allowing the clamp to tighten. As Rakola back with the disc. See Inkinen trying to play a little bit off disc now, putting herself in the more difficult positions. She aims to reload Rakola. And that is one of the ways of getting through this zone. Close triangle cutting through the cup. Rakola coming back and getting it to Inkinen again. The other way is, of course, the swing. However, they've had some difficulties in these conditions getting those big width-wide swings across the pitch. Inkinen instead goes through the middle to Rantanen. And Rantanen. Rakola. The Finns taking their time. Patient. One wonders, can they maintain it all the way to the end zone? As the Germans creep closer and closer on the mark. Lovely swing around. Ruunanen can't complete the move across the pitch to Rantanen, forced to go back to Inkinen. And there's Westman. Again with the disc. Under some pressure, but the space appears. Nice stuff. And there is the throw that goes a bit too far. Ruunanen this time the culprit. So now the Germans getting to go back at them. Aschenwerner gives it to Müller. Looks to get it back. Aschenwerner can't react in time. Inkinen knows what she wants immediately. She sees Westman in the end zone. Doesn't send it to her. Surprising bit of restraint. One hopes it works out for them. Ruunanen back to Inkinen. She takes that comfortably despite the difficult position. There's the transition and match defense again from the Germans in front of the end zone. Relko gets it across, taken in by Rantanen. Ruunanen. Rakola. Inkinen. This is good dump swinging. They need the final punch, and there it is in the streaking form of Rantanen, and the first score for the Finnish in quite a while.
A sketchy point that it was, Lorcan. That was a worrying sight for the Finnish side, up against another strong German zone. The challenge with the Finnish, though, is they're not getting lots of poppers breaking through that cup in the zone. And it's not a case of, I need someone to pop in to get the disc, but I need someone to pop in to distract the defenders so that they chase that player and break down that cup. That's what they need to do a little bit more of, and I saw that they got a little stagnant on the field. They need to respect that you don't need to get the disc every time you run into the cup, but it's about creating that, you know, creating the danger that the defense feel like they need to follow. And so a little bit more of that on the field, if they could play with thinking about their continuations and what's coming next, they might be able to move a little bit quicker, because as we know, once they have that momentum in hand, they can do some damage on the field.
As contradictory as it seems, the only way to escape the defense's intention is to grab their attention with those kinds of moves into the cup, dragging players towards you to get space. Westman has been doing a fantastic job of it. Inkinen taking on the role a bit there, but now the Finnish need that which they have been unable to grasp so far in this game, and that is a break against the German O-line. Gerner. Sorry, that's not. It is Gerner, middle of the pitch. Trying to get free, but can't. Eventually playing it through. There's the first touch, but still corralled somehow by the Germans. The Finns sniffing at it. Gerner with the disc. Spreading it wide, hitting the form of Lieberth. Lieberth. Hosokawa goes deep for her briefly. Instead, she goes back to Gerner and returns the favor. Lieberth still looking for options. Back to Gerner. Gerner with a big one around Hosokawa. Lots of float, moving into a group of players Manhell's the one who comes down with it. There is a call. Just to stop the streaking German attacker from getting the disc. Manhell's on a little bit of an island. Hosokawa trying to get free for her. Can't really. Eventually it's Mashinova. Beautiful move to get her force out of the way and breaks it all the way across. Another breakthrough and the Germans score. Brilliant break throw through to Röhne.
Making it look too easy. Such confidence in their fakes. Breaking the marks, clearing the space. Exceptionally, nice angled cuts that give the handler the option to throw out into space and the receiver to come and run it down. You can't ask for much more, and I'm sure the German coaches out there are really pleased with their team's effective work on the field.
Germans getting a little bit lucky there with the overthrow to Hosokawa, winding up in the hands of Manhels. Mashinova, absolutely brilliant faking to set up the initial look to the end zone, and that is a fantastic throw to Röhne for the score. And the Germans have breaks all over their D-line and their O-line. So the Finns still can't get one on the board for themselves and now look to tie it up. The Germans have been so consummate moving into that wind, into that end zone at every time of asking. So here come the Finns. And the German crowd momentarily interrupting us on our mics. You can see how effective that support is. Schwezi popping it back out. Now Germany cycling it around. Nayez, reportedly injured, coming out. And Swayze tries to get it in, but Hugo coming up short. That one just bouncing out of the hands for intended receiver. A bit of a gaff. Zinkinen picks it up. We were talking about the dangers of being stuck in these corners. Although there's few women on the continent you'd rather have in this position than Inkinen. Working around Rantanen, trying to move that zone. Like you were talking about earlier, Hillary, just no poppers coming through to break it up. Spreads it all the way across. And that one just about rescued. Nopinen going to the ground. And then popping it through comfortably to Rakola. Runinen. And across to Inkinen. These are brilliant throws by the Finns. They need a lot of them. Leino. Runinen. Inkinen makes himself available immediately in front. And there's the deep cut, and there's the deep shot. Huge bid out of Nopinen, but unfortunately bouncing out of her hands. And that's what I'd be doing if I was to finish. I would be trying to attack Nayez. Inka Nayez is normally such a huge, reliable defensive presence, carrying a bit of an injury into this tournament. I would try to take advantage of that if I could. So now the Germans, fronted by Dressing, attack the break side early. Good finish coverage. Trying to clamp down. And that one going through. And again, the Germans just getting a little bit lucky with these overthrows as Nayez goes with a big shot to the end zone. Two players down underneath it. Phenomenal defensive play. Maya Leno. Maya.
Epic block.
Just a bit of conversation between her and Grossa Brockman, but no call.
What a fantastic read from both players, seeing that disc come up, and it had so much power behind it. That wind was sending it deep so quickly to pick up the pace.
Brilliant work by Leno. Getting her hand in before Brockman could secure positioning. Making it, breaking all the way across, but unfortunately it just drops out of the hands of Nicola. So now Nayez with the chance to put it in. She loves her high release breaks. Her teammates know that it's coming. Jasper puts a lovely one out on a dish and Brockman takes it in. That was rather delectable by Gross Brockman.
The Germans just respond with such quick actions. They just know how to set up. They've got their plays down.
So momentarily just getting a little feel of the pitch intensity for the Germans. You can see how windy it is out there by how it buffets our mic. But there's nothing buffeting this German resolve. Focused on taking home the gold, 10-4 up. So you have another look at just textbook offense outside the end zone.
Beautiful cuts. Runs one way, turns, gains meters away from her defender. And that's what you want to see as a handler, making these dynamic cuts, creating space, giving options.
All the games for the finals today, 85 minutes. So we have now entered the final half hour. And the Germans looking great. Finns really needed to come out with something impressive from the second half. I'm sure they didn't want to give up that break. They scored straight out, then the Germans responded and got another one for good measure. So here they come. Inkinen flows that down the field. Back to Rantanen. Working well there with the quick popping game. Physical against the body of Müller. And Jokinen, young star, chasing that disc down, throwing it through to Westman. And again, Müller stepping through. She has been everywhere in that cup, just disrupting plays constantly. And once more, we see Sack trying to set up that deep shot for herself. Every single time there's a turnover, she looks to strike deep. Kusik. I really thought she was going to oblige before the call. Wouldn't have minded to see it. Sack comes back under. Marked tightly the entire way by Rantanen. And a big step through, hand block by Vassman. The lengthy woman just swatting that one away. Inkinen, Jokinen, and Ruunanen as your two handlers. Finns recognizing they need to get this point in. There's the backhand, but it was always wobbling. A bit too casual by Inkinen. Not the kind of throw you expect out of the experienced leader of this Finnish side. She is their coach. As now the Germans try to go again. Kusik. Lots of float on that one. Plenty of bobble, and there's going to be an uncontested foul. Did look like Sack had the position, was able to take it down if it wasn't for the interfering hands of Ruunanen. So now Sack. Not someone who would be as comfortable throwing directly into these conditions. As it's revealed just there, the blade going up, Vassman able to step through. There was a call for a Stola, but Ruunanen realizing maybe I'll just leave it off. Inkinen. Kusik just hanging out deep. Really respecting the throws of this Finnish outfit. Jokinen comes through, pops it. Martus. Back to Jokinen. Back to Martus, now to Ruunanen. And Inkinen with a nice break, a bit more focus this time. Jokinen over the top to Marcus. But there, again, just an execution error. And there's been an awful lot of those. And I think that is down to the German zone and the Finns thinking, I have this, I have this, I have this, and not focusing themselves in quite enough. And that has always been a strength for them. Kusik goes down the line, not able to get there. Huge defensive effort by Jokinen, but cannot stop Sack from getting the disc. I'd love to see the two of them battling it out under a floaty one. Now just physical unders. Huge grab! That was Sack climbing a ladder and tearing down a cloud. Making it much easier for Kusik. So now the Germans clear space. Sack. Nice backhand, very physical by Ruunanen. She has been all over the pitch this defensive possession. It's going to be another foul called. I think that's Rumpelt involved in the conversation with Ruunanen. Ruunanen seemingly contesting that it was on your inside shoulder. That's where I was too. Did seem like she got there first, but admitting that she wouldn't have got there without a lot of contact. So an uncontested foul. Rumpelt. There's a few options in front of her. Ashenbrenna prominent among them goes with Kusik instead. And Kusik winds up a huge shot. Muller underneath it. Lots of bodies. And I really thought it was going to be two incredibly impressive grabs for Sak in 1 point. Instead, Inkinen gets another look. They haven't really tested Kusik out deep, but they know the German woman well. And a huge layout blocked by Muller. Just another D. And these Germans are all over the place. Sak looks to shoot to the end zone, decides against it. Instead, goes through the middle to Sak. Kusik on the front of the end zone and a quick, easy pop. How you like it. Wagner getting the score. And the Germans getting even closer to their aim. An eventual Windmill medal.
Now
Goal.
in the teens, Lorcan, the German side have that momentum and they're running with it. They've shifted into fifth gear and they've not let go. They're on the highway in the full stretch coming home.
Well, as the Rascal Flats taught us, life is a highway and you just have to drive it all night long. And I'm sure that nighttime drive back home to Germany will be all the sweeter for this national outfit if they have the weight of gold around their necks. But Finland not quite ready to go home yet. 11-4 down. Searching for something. Every point counts. Every point counted in the Swiss draw. But this is still just a preparatory tournament for the European Championships later this year. And both these teams have the highest of aspirations. Both nations successful in the past. Finland more recently. They do have a habit of just showing up every few years and dominating. Atletico did it 2 years ago. Finland so far in this tournament looked like they were capable of doing it again. But the Germans have shown a whole new side to themselves, or perhaps just a further depth to the championship side that they've been slowly revealing over the course of this tournament. Inkinen has a few options, but none of them particularly easy. Apart from the quick pop to Rakola. Jokinen somehow squeezes that one through to Rantanen. Rakola. Rakola tries to get free for her. Instead, she's forced to go with a huge arcing backhand. Jokinen has time to chase it down, but loses it in the air. And I think she thought it was going much further away as the Germans looking to finish this one off. Perhaps. Beek has the break, decides against the stall count getting higher all the time. Big physical play, but hopping and skipping away as Schmans plays it to the sideline, and the final throw from Dressing. Perhaps a little overdressed.
Finnish side getting a lucky turn here. Back to getting the disc on their offense, but they're stuck in a really dangerous space with the wind coming down.
It's that final throw. Just a bit too much zip from Dressing. Maybe a bit too much tang. As Inkinen stuck in coffin corner with four imposing German bodies. Jokinen provides some quick relief. And a floaty pass back over the top. Risky business. That's how the Finns like it. And Inkinen just about able to take that one. Rakola with a short pop, but the wind still tried to get under it. It's the cut after that one that they're missing. Like those pops you were talking about. They're able to get that first one off, and then they go back in, but Inkinen can step through to Rakola now, but where is the cutter that allows you to really escape the jaws of this zone? Vestman is taking the point off, and I think you can really note her absence. That experienced movement. And a step through block. Excellent stuff by the Germans. They seem to just be in the Finnish heads, predicting every one of their moves. Spanuth looking, waiting. A lot of cutting by Dressing. Instead, she's forced to put one up. And Jokinen underneath it, but can't stop the impressive form of Schmans from getting the disc.
A Hail Mary shot, and the Germans still managed to bring it down.
Some things are luck, some things are skill. The Germans seem to have both going for them right now. Some lucky bounces, some big plays, but mostly just consistent offense and pressuring defense.
Everything is just going in the Germans' favor today, as you said. It's not just their skill. and their domination on the field, but it's luck. Every time there's some sort of shriek of a wobbly pass or a throw,
or a skeptical shot to the end zone,
they still manage to retrieve it and bring it down safely.
So the Germans working incredibly hard for each other out there, epitomizing that team spirit that they have tried to build over this 2-year campaign. This is what the German process is all about, building consistency and camaraderie through extended campaigns. They don't just put it together for one season. They like to go Euros, Worlds if they can inside Raketa, really starting off that trend with the open team, and it has bled into the other divisions as the Germans trying to establish themselves once again as a powerhouse of Europe in all 3 divisions. The German mixed team very unlucky not to make the mixed final. Had a hell of a game against the French mixed team, eventually falling in Universe Point. And that will be the game that we have coming up next. The French mixed team warming up will be taking on the 2-time defending champions, Rut from Amsterdam. But that isn't now. And now is all that matters, because now is all we have, Hillary. So what better time in the present but for the Finns to try and disrupt this German party that is already starting to eke its way across the sideline and onto the pitch. 12-4 down. This is where you really get your medal tested.
It's a big ask, look, and we're in the teens now for the German side. They only need 3 more points, and that's game for them. And as we've seen out there, they have done so much hard work to get those blocks and those turns.
That pull just about making it over halfway. Jokinen walking to the disc. Inkinen immediately makes herself available. Vassman is back on. They need her spacing and her movement against the zone, as already you see her getting into the right position. Sending it back, and Jokinen's after tearing off down deep. Vassman sides against it. I really thought somebody would want to send it to her. Martus working well with Vassman right now. Martus gives it to Inkinen. They have Jokinen all the way out on the sideline. Eventually they see her and give her the disc. Back to Vassman. Such a good link-up player. Swinging it all the way across. Runanen waiting for it. Tries to continue the good time. What a bid from Jokinen, and that young woman is so impressive. Has had a difficult shift in this game. See how much faith the Finnish are putting in her. And how little regard she has for her own body. Kusik sending it across. Ashen Verena bouncing out of the hands of Sack, but she recovers and gets it. Tries to send it back to Ashen Verena. The wind really howling, always forcing the Germans closer and closer to their own end zone. Kusik. And that's an impressive grab by Rumpelt. These discs are not easy to get. Kusik almost tripping herself up with that pivot. Eventually gets it to Müller, making herself available right at the front of the stack. He's going as Kusik. Eventually throws one a bit too far, and it bounced out of the hands of Marik Sack, number 12. Not to be confused with number 30. It's now the Finns in the form of Inkinen with Runanen in the dump position. Tries to break it through to Vassman, and you think those kinds of turns are just starting to happen more and more. Waiting for somebody, and who else but Sack? Of course it's Sack who's tearing deep, but Kusik got to the disc a bit too soon, and the Finnish defense able to set up. Lovely break over the top and taken in comfortably by Rumpelt. That woman has some clamps for hands. Müller thinks about a deep shot herself, absolutely launched one. Vestman's underneath it, tries to correct in time, and storming through is Vagana. She's going to call foul. Nope, uncontested. Leaves it off, wasn't quite sure. And you like that, the speculative fouls. You call it initially and then go, you know what? No, you're right. Vassman had position. I tried to come over her. Jokinen goes a bit too lackadaisically to Inkinen, and Sack screams through and blocks it. And now the Germans with an opportunity to really punish the Finns. They can just keep their composure, not rush things. Aschenwerner. Good defensive effort, but loses the defense, and Rumpelt right on the end zone. Jokinen doing what she can to stop the dump. Gets back to Aschenwerner. Goes to the break side, but Vassman definitively and defiantly stepping across and slamming that one into the stadium.
Such a dominating player on the field, and what a dominating block that was. Such a pairing between Weissman and Inkinen. I think they need to be a little bit more dynamic in this space and use a bit more of their team, not just look for those solid players on the field.
Ruunanen through to the middle. There again, starting to spread it out a little bit. Fukra Elinas, it's one of her first touches of the game. And this is better stuff down the sideline. Marta's linking up and working very well with Nopen, and maybe they're listening to you, trying to involve other elements of their team, as the Germans have really zeroed in on the likes of Ruunanen and Inkinen, although the two of them appear right there on the end zone line, where you'd want them. Inkinen locked in with Vassman. Eventually gets the dump to Ruunanen, and it's a beautiful throw all the way around. Finland get the score. Jokinen collecting the point. 12-5.
What a brilliant response from the Finnish team. I mean, it was like they were listening to me. Use a bit more of your team and see what happens. You can create all of this space. The pace that they got down to that end zone line was incredible. They just need to do a little bit more of that.
That was just a brief discussion after Hussein got the D on Wagner. This was Jokinen being a bit too lackadaisical, trying to get a bit too cute. Sack splatting that one down. Here we see Vassman get her second D of the point. That one far more aggressive. This is just good textbook end zone play. Inkinen, Ruunanen, Jokinen for the score. And some great spirit on display. Very impressed with some of Rumpelt's grabs. You saw her just clapping there for the finish. Very impressed with two of the grabs she had in that last point. Difficult to do. Nice little shot of our audience, all the people who've made the trip out here to Amsterdam, sticking around for this beautiful Sunday evening of games. The weather has been acquiescent in that it hasn't been too wet, allowing the only precipitation to really be our voices onto your heads at home. Jokinen winding up, throwing a nice bladey pull, and that's going to go much further than any of the German pulls did, and that's going to roll all the way back to the end zone. Phenomenal pull. But the Germans react positively, get it to Manhers in the middle, who immediately looks deep. That disc, with the wind catching under it very favorably for Troutman, she's able to chase it down. Back to Manhers. It's a foul back here, a bit of contact. I think that was Pole. Maybe hitting Inkinen from behind. So it's going to stay in Troutman's hands. That shot deep. A little speculative, I believe, but the wind seemed to get under it and just sit it up enough. So Troutman with Manhers directly parallel to her. Manhers clears out. That's a lovely throw across. Brinker. The Germans trying to use all of their squad. They really respect every woman on this team. Manhers, disc in hand, takes the easy open shot. Kappelman gets that one back around, and this is good stuff from the Germans, just as I say it. Errant throw directly into the ground. Mashinova not able to get the necessary lift on that one, and now the Finns, maybe with a little bit of a sniff. You never know. Inkinen marching towards the disc. A beautiful break to start things off. Gets it to Rantanen. Jokinen out on the sideline. We know she can lash it. No one really making the cut for her. Now three Finns all going deep at the exact same time. Sariola instead gives it to Rantanen. Rantanen now on the near sideline. Sariola makes a move for her. She doesn't quite like the look of it. Instead goes back. Koskenvu. Stall count getting higher and higher. Sariola makes herself available. Inkinen down the line. Sariola tries to hit her. Great peel off the fence and brilliant stuff by Mashinova, making up for the turn with some fantastic heads-up play.
A huge point there for the German side. As you said, German defenders just peeling off, blocking that space and not allowing anything through. The Finnish team, though, they're really looking for the insight and the experience and the advice from Inkinen on field, as I saw her point to her player where she should throw.
Huge D. Jokinen screams through and gets the block. Mashinova maybe caught a bit flat-footed as the fleet movement of Jokinen gets the D. Now Inkinen right on the end zone, throws a break to no one in particular. The cut was cut out and cut off. Now the Germans looking to go back down there. Kappelman was waiting for it, waited a bit too long. Germany really want to take their time and punch this one in. Mashinova, Pole, waiting for somebody, anybody. Eventually gets an answer in the form of Troutman. Now Troutman sending it deep, nicely taken in. I thought that wasn't going to work out, but with Kappelman on the other end, you know you're secure and you can take those kinds of risks. Brinker, Mashinova thinks about the inside break, instead goes for the around. There's plenty of float on it, but Kappelman slightly misreads it. I think that a lot of that has to go to the defensive pressure of Koskenvo coming across. That's the kind of disc Matt or Kappelman would normally tear down. Under a lot of pressure in this instance. So Inkinen walk into the front of the end zone. Imposing form of Troutman. Sariola, but brilliant poach block by Pole, coming across to the open side and trying to shut down those options. Rantanen has Inkinen down the line. Great defensive pressure, but not quite enough. Inkinen. Jokinen comes back around for her and keeps it going all the way. Mashinova trying to clamp down. And there's just another errant throw. I think fatigue really starting to play a factor for this Finnish side. Pole. Mashinova tries to make a move. Jokinen able to shut it down. Mashinova swings it all the way around. Troutman. I like that fake. He's had a big task on the defensive end, trying to limit Inkinen. As Pole puts up a flick, it's very floaty. And then eventually it's a German who gets her hands to it. Kind of shrugging that one off. Understandably so. So now both sides really struggling to finish off this point. Could be a little bit of a mimic of the point we had early in the first half that went on for a very long time. Inkinen. Lovely play to Jokinen. And they keep spreading it wide. That's a fantastic deep shot. Plenty of time to get under it and collect it. Excellently taken in by Keki. And now the Finns right on the door. Rantanen shoots to the end zone. Leno underneath it, but perhaps too eager. Misreads it. Good defensive coverage by Forsch, but I mean 9 times out of 10 you're expecting Leno to come down with that disc.
And it looked like she was going to. It looked like that disc was going to float gently into her hands. But it's perhaps just the fatigue, as you mentioned earlier, Lorcan, that's hitting this Finnish side. The decision making is a little slower and not quite up to scratch as it used to be.
That's exactly right. Although the Germans responding somewhat in kind. An emphatic block by Keki. She had that great cut for the deep shot, saying, I didn't run all that way just for us to turn it over on the end zone. Give us that possession back. Jokinen can't get free up the line. Inkinen waiting. Needs somebody to make a move. Eventually she gets one in the form of Rantanen, but an unforced error and an unfortunate drop. And a timeout called. So, well, the Germans try to collect themselves. As we see the drop again. Hillary, what do you think Finland can do to fight their way back into this game?
If you know the lyrics, sing along.
Well, Finland are struggling quite a fair bit because they're just relying totally on Inkinen on the field. They're always looking to her for guidance as to what to do, where they should throw, where they should set up. And that's a really tough ask for someone to be that leader on the field and off field, to also be that pivotal handler. It's hard. You can't always be expected to give instructions, and you need to allow your team to just play the way that they do, move through the entire team, as we saw an earlier point where Finland capitalized so well by actually getting the disc to every single one of their players, and that's where they were able to convert and score. Stop relying so much on Inkinen, but start relying on the rest of your team just as equally, and things might change. But it has to be said as well, it's just some simple things. Choose the right shots, those high percentage shots you know you're going to get off. The wind is picking up and it's always going to play a factor in your throws. So try not to risk anything. Take those safer options. Keep the possession in hand. And as best as possible, try to limit the amount of drops. Because as we've seen this entire game, everything is going in the Germans' favour, not just with their skill, the amount of relief they have on the sideline of substitutions, but also just the luck that they've had. Every time a lofty throw has gone up that's potentially thrown out and have been a turn, the Germans have brought it back safely. So we will see Germany come out in offense.
And this is a big moment. Time is up on the game. Germany hoping to extend that adage to Finland's hopes of championship gold here at Windmill. Huge shot! Well read and blocked down. Keki has a few of those to her name so far in this. Inkinen has Jokinen going break side in the end zone. Can't quite get it to her. Doesn't like Rantanen directly in front of her either. Stolkamp getting higher instead, goes with the speculative hammer, and always a different one for Keki to get in the right position of. So, looking to really put this game to bed. Ashen Werner. Good coverage, but it bounces out of the hands of Trautmann. He's been putting in a mammoth shift. Jokinen. And Inkinen immediately just tears down the line looking for it. Instead they get the swing around to Rantanen. And Rantanen gets it to Jokinen, and they're losing yards the whole time. Brilliant break from Jokinen all the way down to Keki. Now Keki on the end zone line. Jokinen makes himself available again. There's the cut to the front corner. That one bounces out of the hands of Leno. Needed to be spectacular. Second chance attempt! Toes the line and brings it in. And there is the Leno we all know and love.
Lorcan Murray, I am speechless with that incredible point there. The crowd knew that that was going to be something of a show. And Finland had to do it on their side, right in that pocket, towing the sideline. That grab, we just see on the replay, dumps back. That high pass gets up too much air. The German defender underneath goes to tap it away. Finland respond, saying no.
Brilliant presence of place by Leno. First off, this would have been a difficult grab, but one I think everyone in the stands expected her to make. As unfair an expectation as that can be to maintain. There's the defensive tip from Kappelman. And you have to wonder, would she have been better off leaving it go? So now the Germans need to do something that this O-line has done time and time again in this match, that being the first finish break of the game. And that is go upwind and score. They've been flawless so far. And now, with the opportunity to put this game to bed at an incredibly impressive 13-6. Bear in mind, they lost the first meeting between these two teams 13-11. And we thought the windy conditions would probably favour Finland slightly more, but with that zone, it really has been Germany's day. They think about the huck, they decide against it. This is great defense from Finland, desperation stuff. Plenty of float on that disc though, giving Trautmann time to get under there. Pick called downfield. Inkinen saying the disc is going to have to go back. And so it does. Pohl, captain of this team, number 25, Nora Pohl. With the disc dead center, front of her own end zone. I have to believe the stall count is quite dangerously high. that was 6. Pole wasting no time, immediately getting it down the line to Forsh. Forsh has Gerner in the middle of the pitch, hits her. Jokinen on Gerner. Quite an exciting matchup. Gerner. Not getting much in the way of options. Hosokawa eventually showing up from deep backfield. Full, robust cutting from Kyoto. And this is nice play again from the Germans, although it's a bit too floaty. And on the other end, the Runanen to slap it down. So the Finns not done yet. Looking to get a break. Why not take a second one?
Things are looking better for them now, but I think the time is not in their favor. Currently in the 89th minute.
Sariola launches that one deep to Vassman. Underneath it, what a catch! Phenomenal stuff from Vassman, chasing it down, laying out and scooping it off the ground.
She's been building up for that all game, wanting that big huck, and she makes it look so effortless. A beautiful point for the Finnish team. Something that will pick up the spirits and give them that build that they need to drive into the rest of this game, whether however short it may be.
That is exactly what they were looking for and exactly what they weren't able to do all game long. We thought we'd see that offense consistently send shots deep to the likes of Westman for those kinds of receptions. I mean, ideally they'd want to hit her while she's still running, but they know that she can be relied on to put everything on the line. Hunting, searching, finding. Phenomenal heart on display by Vassman, who's been an integral cog to this offense. It's now the Germans look to finish it going downwind instead. This might play into the Finnish hands. The Germans aren't able to put that desperate zone on them. We know the Finns can turn this German side. As Jokinen going with another pull, her last one so impressive. This one slightly less so, the roll working against them. Ghana starting things off. Looking for any kind of help, eventually forced to go all the way to the break side, but throws that one too far ahead of Liba. She gave everything she had to try and go get it, but it wasn't enough. And Inkinen starting to wonder. 12-7. That's an awful lot different to the 12-5 they found themselves in. Let's see if they can capitalize. Leno looking for anyone to get free for her. She gets Jokinen on the break side. Jokinen lasers that one through. Somehow winds up in the hands of Keki. I'm not sure how Hosokawa didn't come up with the D. Keki gets it along to Rantanen. Rantanen down the line. Unfortunate burst of air, takes it over the outstretched hands of Fukra Elenius. And instead the Germans have the opportunity to come right back at them. Mashinova to Gerna. Gerna has two bodies going deep, launches a huge one. Prunes is underneath it, plucks it out of the sky. Waiting patiently, Hosokawa tries to finish the move. Instead, has options in front of her. Stall count getting higher with each passing second. Huge defensive effort. And the crowd letting their displeasure know. Rantanen seemed to streak in and try and tap that one away from Mashinova. No, uncontested. So Mashinova, opportunity to finish it. Tries to pop it over the top to Gerna, but can't get it quite enough. That is a phenomenal defensive presence by Rantanen. High release backhand break, something we know Mashinova has in the locker, but Rantanen just taking all of the zip out of it. Inkinen, beautiful inside break to Leno. They were always looking for that right from the start, and a heartbreaking drop. So now the Germans trying to finish it off. Manhels, back to Ghana. There's a few options around her. Coons was there on the break side, clearing out. Hosokawa can't get free. Gerner's going to have to put something up. It's a blade, and Jokinen was always ready. I think we could all agree that we wanted to see a huck there. Inkinen, pick called. So while looking at the score, you can be forgiven for thinking maybe this game is over. In terms of action, still plenty on offer. These last few points have been energetic.
We've seen quite a different attitudinal shift.
Huge hand block! Phenomenal defensive effort. That's Forsh coming across and stopping Inkinen. She's been breaking her all day with those inside flicks. And Forsh having enough and exhibiting her force. As now the Germans go back. Shanova gets it across. Lieberth tries to pop back in the middle. Gerner just hops in front of the waiting Leno. Somehow gets to that one first. Hosokawa makes a move. Great forcing by Leno. Not letting the break off and then getting the hand block. Nope. Getting the foul. Uncontested. Coming back on 0. So they have Manhurst isolated in the front. But Jokinen on her, and that is a good defender. But Manhurst has all the experience. But a ground strip stops the game again. So Inkinen with another look. And these points have had a habit of dragging on. The German offense really stalling in front of that end zone. It's not something that we've seen much from them so far in this game. Fulcra Linus puts it out in front. Lots of flow. Leno gets up big, but great defensive effort from Gerner, slapping it away. The Germans have done a good job of isolating one cutter in this position from the front of the stack. Hosokawa can't get it straight away, so instead they go with the form of Forsh. Forsh says no to Manhurst. Can't get it to Mashinova, instead pops it over to the break side. There's Gerner looking to finish it off. Prunes, front of the end zone, quick pop over the top. And Mashinova gets the winning score. 13-7, Germany, your Windmill Women's Champions 2019.
What a phenomenal point that was there, Lorcan. Just so much happening there. We saw the Finland side change the way that they were playing. They were a little more aggressive, a little bit more smart in the way that what they were doing. But every time the Germans had a response to whatever they were doing, and it goes back to what you said at the very beginning. They adjusted and they adapted to every single thing they had. They learnt from every moment all the different things. It wasn't just a case of luck, but it was a case of being a phenomenal team, an epic team.
So, an epic team coming out on top of this epic moment. Phenomenal stuff from the Germans, rectifying that earlier fall to the finish. But something to keep in mind, this is a building tournament for the European champions, and no female team made it through undefeated, unscathed. There could have been plenty of people taking part in this matchup. Not just these two teams, there was lots of opportunities, and it promises to be an incredibly exciting week down in Glore later in the year. But for now, we must say goodbye. Coming up next, we have the mixed final and the wonderful voices of Sarah Sparks and Ravi Vasudevan, both of them adopted children of this fine country, so I'm sure we can expect some standard objectivity from the two of them as we see Ruth, the hometown heroes, taking on France mixed, looking to play spoiler for Ruth's three-peat attempts. Until then, you'll have to make do with silence as I, Lorcan Murray, and the wonderful Hilary Humes say goodbye from Windmill 2019.